An elderly woman's simple request is coldly denied, until a shocking twist reveals she's the mother of a Hollywood icon. Witness the moment Hollywood icon stuns an entire airport by sacrificing his first-class seat, igniting a chain reaction of kindness that changes lives forever. What would you do if your parent was humiliated? This real-life act of love will leave you speechless and questioning what true respect really means.
Patricia Reeves, 76 and still carrying herself with quiet dignity, steps into the bustling airport terminal. She's dressed in a simple cardigan, a warm scarf draped around her shoulders, and she holds a modest carry-on bag. The December air outside is cold, but inside, holiday travelers crowd every available space, weaving around each other with nervous energy. Patricia moves forward, ticket in hand, navigating to the check-in counter. She doesn't announce who she is or who her son might be. That's never been her style. Instead, she waits politely, allowing others to go first if they seem rushed. Her gentle smile is met with distracted glances from staff members juggling endless questions. She thinks about her destination, Los Angeles, where she plans a small family gathering. It warms her heart to know she'll soon see her loved ones. Years ago, Patricia worked long nights sewing costumes to pay rent for a tiny apartment in Toronto. Back then, she never imagined her son would become a household name. She only wanted him to dream bigger than his circumstances allowed. Now she sees the result, success beyond measure, yet still matched by humility. She remains proud of him not because of his fame, but because of the kindness he shows. At the counter, Patricia clears her throat, ready to ask a favor she's never requested before. An upgrade to first class would be a welcome comfort for her aging bones, especially on a longer flight. Still, she hesitates, wondering if it's too bold. But she's always believed in fairness and respect. Maybe, just maybe, someone will show her that same courtesy today. With that quiet hope, she steps closer to the agent and prepares to speak. Her heart flutters, unsure if she'll be seen as a nuisance or a traveler seeking kindness. Patricia steps up, offering her economy ticket with a timid request for an upgrade. The airline agent, pressed by the growing line, barely glances at her. She repeats her inquiry. Could there be a seat in first class? A flicker of annoyance crosses the agent's face. In a clipped tone, the response comes, "I'm sorry, ma'am. First class is reserved for paying passengers." Patricia's cheeks warm, though she tries to hide her embarrassment. She knows she hasn't paid for first class, but at her age, she hoped compassion might tip the scale. Instead, the agent swiftly directs her to proceed with economy boarding. Patricia clasps her ticket, nods, and murmurs a polite thank you. Unbeknownst to her, a businessman in line observes the exchange. He recognizes Patricia from an old red carpet interview, remembering her face beside Hollywood icon. He wonders if the staff realize who they've just dismissed so brusquely. Whispers begin to ripple behind. A couple of curious travelers angle their phones for a discreet photo, suspecting that this unassuming elder might be connected to someone famous. Patricia, always dignified, continues forward without complaint. She clutches her carry-on close, shoulders sagging slightly from the weight of disappointment. Yet she refuses to mention her son's name or status. She believes every person deserves simple decency, regardless of wealth or fame. The agent, meanwhile, remains oblivious to the quiet storm gathering around the check-in area. Passengers exchange questioning glances, uncertain whether to intervene. Patricia's humility disarms them, leaving them unsure how to help. Silence settles, broken only by the shuffle of luggage wheels and muted overhead announcements. As Patricia heads toward the boarding gate, the businessman trails behind, preparing to contact someone who might rectify this situation before it becomes a greater spectacle. He knows Hollywood icon values fairness above all else. Hollywood icon, baseball cap pulled low, well-worn jacket zipped to his chin. He prefers traveling without drawing attention, but today feels different. He senses something amiss when he notices a small crowd whispering near the gate. People cast fleeting glances in his direction, as if unsure whether to approach him. He spots his mother standing a short distance away, shoulders tense, eyes lowered. A businessman steps forward, recognizing Hollywood icon instantly, and discreetly explains what happened moments earlier. Hollywood icon's face remains composed, though a flicker of concern crosses his features. He thanks the man, nodding thoughtfully as he processes this slight against Patricia. Approaching the counter, Hollywood icon quietly asks the flight attendant, "Is there a reason my mother wasn't offered a seat in first class?" His tone is calm, but there's a firmness that demands attention. The attendant looks up, face blanching at the sudden recognition. She stammers an apology, insisting the seats are fully booked. Hollywood icon glances at Patricia, who shakes her head gently, indicating she doesn't want a scene. She's endured far worse in life without complaint. Yet Hollywood icon feels a deep pang in his chest. His mother, the woman who sacrificed everything for him, deserves more than a dismissive brush-off. The crowd around them grows, cameras quietly rolling on phones. Whispers ripple through travelers who confirm, yes, that's Hollywood icon. And yes, the woman is his mother. Ever so softly, Hollywood icon rests a hand on Patricia's shoulder and steps closer to the attendant. He doesn't raise his voice. Instead, he speaks in measured tones, emphasizing respect. Still, the tension thickens, filling the air with an unspoken reminder. This mother cared for Hollywood icon through countless hardships. Now, her humility has been disregarded by the very airline he owns. He wonders how grace goes unnoticed when it's deserved. Hollywood icon reaches into his jacket pocket and carefully removes his own first-class ticket. The attendant's eyes widen, aware this small rectangular slip represents a seat in the airline's most exclusive cabin. Without pause, Hollywood icon turns to an elderly man nearby, who has been waiting patiently behind Patricia. Holding out the ticket, he says gently, "Take my seat, please. Make yourself comfortable." Confusion flickers across the man's face. He sputters, I couldn't possibly." But Hollywood icon offers a reassuring nod, leaving little room for argument. Around them, travelers hold their breaths, phones angled to capture every second. Patricia's cheeks flush with a mix of pride and worry. She never wanted a fuss, yet here is her son, once just a bright-eyed boy, showing the world that kindness outweighs status. The original flight attendant stands frozen, lips parted in silent shock. Nearby staff shuffle uneasily. They sense that nothing about this moment is ordinary. It's not a show, no drama in Hollywood icon's voice. Instead, he acts with calm conviction, the same warmth Patricia spent decades nurturing in him. People start to murmur. One woman whispers, "That's Hollywood icon, right? He's giving away his seat because his mom was snubbed." Another traveler shakes his head in disbelief, muttering, "He owns the airline, and he's choosing to sit in economy?" Patricia tries to intervene, quietly insisting, "You don't have to do this." But Hollywood icon rests a hand on her shoulder, gently steering her toward the boarding lane. The moment resonates like a ripple in still water, simple yet profound. Journalists later would call it a stunning display of humility, but for Hollywood icon, it's just the natural choice when fairness is denied. As they make their way toward the plane, Patricia wonders what new wave of changes this single act might inspire. She feels hope rising. Once on board, Patricia settles into an economy seat near the window. Hollywood icon sits beside her, helping place her carry-on in the overhead bin. The plane's interior hums with activity as other passengers shuffle down the aisle, casting curious sidelong glances. Some smile in silent approval, others snap a quick photo for social media. Patricia's knees ache, but she tries to mask her discomfort. She's grateful simply to be next to her son. A younger flight attendant, different from the one at check-in, approaches with an apologetic expression. "Mr. Hollywood legend, I can arrange something in business class if you prefer," she murmurs. But Hollywood icon shakes his head. He explains softly that his mother deserves whatever attention and care first class might offer, yet she was denied. Therefore, he'll remain right here with her. The attendant's eyes shine with understanding. She leans closer, offering Patricia a complimentary blanket and pillow, promising, "If there's anything else, just let me know." Patricia thanks her, touched by the small kindness. Hollywood icon gently drapes the blanket over Patricia's lap, recalling how she once tucked him in decades ago when their apartment barely had heating. As the engines rumble to life, an older couple across the aisle exchange smiles with Patricia. They witness the earlier exchange and seem moved by Hollywood icon's devotion. Patricia nods politely, unsure how to respond to strangers' quiet admiration. She glances at Hollywood icon, noticing how his eyes flick from her to the surrounding passengers. It's as though he's scanning for any sign that she might be uncomfortable or upset. He remains vigilant, protective, yet calm. Despite the cramped seats and narrow legroom, Patricia finds her heart feels unexpectedly full. She whispers, "Thank you," and Hollywood icon simply squeezes her hand, letting the gesture say everything. Neither suspects this gesture's impact will spread far. In first class, Richard Cole sits motionless, sipping a drink he hardly tastes. He has spent decades in the airline industry, chasing profit margins and expansion deals. Watching Hollywood icon's actions stirs something deep within him. He shifts in his plush seat, haunted by the realization that he too might have contributed to a culture that dismisses everyday kindness. He signals a passing flight attendant to clear his untouched glass, but his mind isn't on refreshments. Instead, he replays the moment when Patricia was refused. The older woman's quiet acceptance strikes him more powerfully than any corporate memo ever could. He wonders how many passengers he has inconvenienced in the name of streamlining processes or maximizing revenue. As the plane cruises at altitude, Richard opens his laptop, intending to review business proposals. Yet each chart and graph feels hollow. He cannot escape the image of Patricia's dignified composure or Hollywood icon's decisive gesture. Something nags at him, a voice reminding him of simpler values lost along the way. Looking around first class, he notices half the seats remain empty. The people who did pay for this luxury lounge in wide seats, occasionally glancing at him with disinterest. Richard exhales, feeling the disparity weigh on him. He clicks his laptop shut, heart pounding with an unaccustomed urgency. He decides he must act. Gathering his courage, he stands, ignoring inquisitive stares. He tucks a sleek notebook under his arm, steps into the aisle and begins walking toward economy. With each step, he feels the burden of years of corporate detachment sliding away, replaced by a desire to make amends. In the back of his mind, he imagines how his board of directors might react, but for once, he doesn't care. Something more important than profit is at stake. He longs to restore genuine. Richard navigates the narrow aisle until he reaches the economy section, where Hollywood icon and Patricia sit. Nearby passengers notice the contrast, a man in business attire weaving through cramped rows. Richard pauses, clears his throat, and addresses Hollywood icon in a subdued tone. "Mr. Hollywood legend, may I speak with you?" Hollywood icon looks up, surprised. He recognizes the seriousness in Richard's expression and nods for him to continue. Patricia glances between them, sensing an unexpected shift in the atmosphere. Richard introduces himself quietly, revealing he's a majority shareholder in this very airline. He admits he saw how Patricia was treated and how Hollywood icon responded. His voice trembles slightly as he confesses, "I've been part of decisions that prioritize profits over people. I never realized how much that could hurt someone until today." A hush falls over the surrounding rows, curious onlookers straining to hear. Patricia's eyes glisten, stunned that a stranger would come all this way to acknowledge her experience. Richard pulls out the sleek notebook, flipping to a crisp page. With a determined hand, he scribbles a single sentence, then signs his name. He offers the page to Hollywood icon, who unfolds it carefully. Patricia leans in, reading over his shoulder. The promise reads, "Effective immediately. Patricia Reeves is granted lifetime first-class access on every airline under my ownership." Patricia's hand flies to her mouth. Tears threaten to spill. Hollywood icon draws a slow breath, momentarily speechless. Around them, scattered applause begins. Some passengers nod, moved by the sincerity of this reparation. Others wipe away tears. Richard stands there, visibly relieved, as though a great weight has been lifted. In this moment, words seem insufficient. Hollywood icon finally meets Richard's gaze, offering a quiet, heartfelt thank you. Patricia squeezes Hollywood icon's arm, overwhelmed by such unexpected kindness. The cabin settles into an awed hush. A flight attendant tiptoes past, offering water or blankets. But most eyes remain on Patricia, Hollywood icon, and Richard. Each person senses they've just witnessed something rare, a moment where corporate formality bows to simple decency. Richard excuses himself, returning to the front cabin with a pensive air. Hollywood icon and Patricia share a glance that speaks volumes. Neither fully grasps how drastically their interaction has affected a stranger's worldview. Patricia carefully folds the handwritten note, tucking it into her purse as though it were a precious heirloom. As the plane continues its route, other passengers gather the courage to approach. One hands Patricia a tiny travel pillow, insisting, "Please have mine. You deserve every comfort." Another, a young mother cradling a toddler, whispers, "You reminded me to never take my own mom for granted." Patricia nods graciously, unsure how to process the flood of kindness. Quietly, she reflects on all the years she spent behind the scenes, stitching costumes, balancing bills, raising Hollywood icon with steadfast love. She never sought attention or special treatment. Her only wish was to see her family thrive. Hollywood icon notices her eyes shining with unspoken gratitude. He recalls childhood moments when she worked 2 jobs just to keep him clothed and fed. Gently, he places a hand on hers and asks, "Mom, are you okay?" Patricia breathes in, blinking back tears. "I'm more than okay," she replies softly. "I'm proud." Nearby passengers return to their seats, thoughtful and inspired. Some chat in hushed tones about reconnecting with estranged relatives or showing more compassion in daily life. It's as if a collective warmth has spread through the cabin, forging a subtle bond between strangers. Somewhere in the back row, a young man types a social media post about what he's witnessed, hoping to share this spark of humanity. The hours pass, and soon the pilot announces their descent into Los Angeles. Soft lights illuminate the cabin, casting gentle shadows across weary travelers. Patricia dozes briefly, head resting against Hollywood icon's shoulder. He watches her, recalling times when she carried him through life's turbulence. Now, he feels it's his turn to safeguard her comfort and dignity.
When the plane lands, the usual clamor ensues. Overhead bins open, bags rustle, passengers stretch stiff limbs. Yet something is different. People move with lingering respect, forming a natural path for Patricia and Hollywood icon to step into the aisle. Nobody rushes past them. As they exit, a woman in her 30s approaches, eyes glistening with renewed determination. She clutches a folded boarding pass, voice trembling with emotion. I saw what happened. I haven't spoken to my own mother in 10 years. I just booked a flight to see her tomorrow. Hollywood icon reaches out, placing a comforting hand on her shoulder. It's never too late, he says gently. Patricia nods, offering a kind smile. The woman breathes a shaky laugh, thanking them both. It's clear her decision to reconcile was ignited by witnessing a simple act of love. Outside the jet bridge, phone cameras flash. Curious onlookers try to snap pictures, but for once, Hollywood icon doesn't seem to mind.
He helps Patricia navigate the corridor, guiding her gently with an arm at her elbow. Whispers fill the hallway. He gave up his seat. She raised him alone. That's real family. By the time they reach baggage claim, Patricia feels an odd mixture of relief and disbelief. The tension that gripped her at check-in has melted, replaced by awe at how quickly one exchange transforms so many hearts. Clutching her bag, she turns to Hollywood icon and murmurs, "You've always made me proud." Patricia and Hollywood icon stand near the luggage carousel, waiting for their suitcases to appear. Soft murmurs of recognition ripple through the crowd. Some travelers whisper, "Is that them?" Others muster the courage to approach, only to hesitate. Patricia catches their eyes and offers a gracious nod, easing their uncertainty. A teenage girl steps forward, clutching a small notebook. She stammers an introduction, admitting she wants to learn about kindness and hopes to write a school paper on it. Patricia smiles, remembering how her own dream started small. She glances at Hollywood icon, who encourages the girl to follow her passion. That brief interaction leaves the teenager beaming. A row over, an elderly couple who shared the flight approach to say goodbye. The husband tips his hat, remarking softly, "We need more people like you two." Patricia blushes. She's unaccustomed to praise. Hollywood icon simply thanks them with genuine warmth. Amid this hushed admiration, a pang of concern flickers in Patricia's mind. She notices Hollywood icon studying her intently, searching her face for signs of fatigue. He knows she's not as strong as she once was. She assures him with a faint smile that she's fine. "Just a little tired," she murmurs. Their suitcases finally arrive, each battered with travel stickers from adventures past. Hollywood icon hefts them onto a cart. Together they head for the automatic doors. A rush of cool night air greets them, along with the glow of streetlights. Something about this evening feels transformative, as though they've stepped into a different world than the one they left hours ago. Patricia loops her arm through Hollywood icon's. She can't help musing aloud. The smallest actions can carry so much weight. Hollywood icon nods, pressing his lips together thoughtfully, aware this day has left a deeper impact than either of them could have imagined. Outside, a hired car waits at the curb. Before sliding into the back seat, Patricia pauses. She gazes at Hollywood icon with a nostalgic smile. "Do you remember how we used to grab late-night coffee?" she asks. Hollywood icon returns her smile, recalling distant memories of modest cafes where they found solace in warm mugs and quiet corners. Spontaneously, Patricia suggests a detour before heading home. She wants to share one more moment with her son, away from the prying eyes of onlookers. Hollywood icon agrees without hesitation. He instructs the driver to stop by a small 24-hour coffee shop he knows. Inside, the cafe is nearly empty. A soft hum of jazz plays overhead. They choose a booth by the window, settling across from each other as they once did in simpler times. The barista, half asleep, takes their order with minimal fuss. When the steaming cups arrive, Patricia cradles hers between her palms, relishing the warmth. She glances around, taking in the quiet ambiance. "All these years, and I never thought something like this would happen," she murmurs. Hollywood icon nods. He wonders how often his mother went unnoticed, her sacrifices hidden behind his Hollywood spotlight. Patricia sighs contentedly. She's not seeking gratitude, but tonight has awakened new reflections. "I never needed first class. I just needed to see that kindness still exists," she says, voice hushed. Hollywood icon reaches across the table, resting his hand on hers. "It does," he replies softly, "because you showed me what it looks like." They sip their coffee in companionable silence. Neither mentions the cameras or social media posts that might be circulating. For these few minutes, it's only mother and son, finding comfort in each other's presence and the promise that empathy can thrive, even in a rushed, chaotic world. Patricia stares into her cup, gathering courage to voice a fear that's weighed on her. Hollywood icon, she begins gently. Do you ever get scared of what lies ahead? Her eyes reflect the uncertainty that comes with age. She knows time slips by quickly, bringing them closer to moments she can't prevent. Hollywood icon studies her, noticing the faint tremor in her hands. He understands she's not asking about fame or money. She's asking about something more profound, the inevitability of change, the fragility of life. Sometimes, he admits, but I try to focus on what I can give and who I can share it with. Patricia nods. She thinks of loved ones lost, of roads traveled alone, of joys that balance sorrows. I've lived a good life, she says quietly. I've struggled, but I've also loved. Seeing you become who you are, that's more than I ever dreamed. He reaches across the table again, his grip gentle yet firm. You gave me everything, he whispered. I only want to make sure you feel how much you're cherished. Patricia's eyes glisten, tears threatening to spill, but she holds them back with a steady breath. The cafe door chimes, signaling a late-night customer, but they barely notice. They're caught in the tender hush of an unspoken understanding. Each moment together is precious. Outside, headlights dance across the window, illuminating fleeting snapshots of their reflections. Patricia musters a soft smile. Whatever time I have left, she murmurs, I want to spend it with the people who matter. That includes you, always. Hollywood icon nods. He can't bring himself to form a reply, too choked with love and fear at the thought of a world without her. They linger in that quiet, letting the warmth of coffee and connection soothe fragile hearts. As they finish their coffee, the door opens again, bringing a rush of cool air. Hollywood icon looks up, and his heart skips a beat. Standing there is Charlotte, a figure from his past he never expected to see tonight. She hesitates, eyes darting between him and Patricia. A cascade of memories floods Hollywood icon's mind. The laughter they once shared, the heartbreak that lingered afterward. Charlotte steps forward, face etched with uncertainty. Patricia senses something significant and stands, offering Hollywood icon a gentle squeeze on the shoulder. I'll be at the counter, she says, giving them space. Charlotte draws nearer, her gaze flicking to Patricia's retreating form. Hollywood icon, Charlotte manages, voice tinged with nostalgia. I heard about what happened at the airport. Her eyes glisten. She sets down her purse, studying him as though trying to piece together lost fragments of their history. I'm in town for work, stopped here randomly. Didn't expect to see you. He exhales slowly, neither greeting her with guarded distance nor open arms. He's unsure if the gulf between them can be bridged, but something shifts in the air. Charlotte musters a small smile, nodding toward Patricia. You haven't changed, have you? Still caring for everyone around you? Hollywood icon rubs the back of his neck, a gesture Patricia would recognize as a sign of vulnerability. I don't know, he murmurs. A lot's happened. Charlotte steps closer, lowering her voice. I saw what you did for your mom. It reminded me why She stops, biting her lip. The unspoken words hover, thickening the tension. Patricia, discreetly sipping coffee at the counter, watches from a respectful distance. She hopes, perhaps, her son can heal old wounds. Hollywood icon studies Charlotte, uncertain but not unwilling. Outside, the streetlights cast long shadows, hinting at old stories that might find new endings. Hollywood icon gestures for Charlotte to sit. She does hesitantly, glancing over at Patricia with a polite nod. They slip into conversation, dancing around the obvious elephant in the room, their shared past. Finally, Charlotte takes a breath and admits, I never stopped caring. Seeing you tonight, seeing how you treated your mother, brought back memories of the kind person I knew. He lowers his gaze, collecting his thoughts. I've learned that life is too short to hold on to bitterness, he replies. But it still hurts sometimes, remembering how we ended. Charlotte nods, her eyes flickering with regret. It hurt me too. Patricia, sensing the weight of their words, approaches slowly. She places a gentle hand on Charlotte's shoulder. You both have time, she offers softly. Don't waste it. Charlotte's eyes brim with tears, and she nods, grateful for Patricia's compassion. Hollywood icon exhales. He's faced many losses, friends, family, love. The idea of reopening an old wound feels risky, yet something about this evening, this improbable reunion, sparks hope. He meets Charlotte's gaze. Maybe we deserve a second chance, he says, voice quiet but steady. Charlotte offers a tentative smile, wiping her eyes. I'd like that, she whispers. In that moment, the tension breaks, replaced by something gentler, an unspoken agreement to try. Patricia watches them both, pride welling up in her chest. She understands how precious it is to find renewal after heartbreak. They gather their belongings, preparing to leave the cafe. Outside, a faint glow of dawn peeks over the horizon, signaling the end of one day and the promise of another. Patricia links her arm with Hollywood icons, Charlotte walking beside them. Under those soft morning skies, they step forward into a future that suddenly seems more open, proof that kindness can heal, inspire, and reunite.